Welcome to another Friday Functions video. I am so excited to have this new video to continue our conversation on the Office 365 users that we started with the webinar last week. Well, actually, earlier this week. We did a webinar just recently. If you ever want to know about our webinars, just go up to powerapps.com. I'm just going to duplicate this tab and show you this. If I go to powerapps.com, and then from there, click on the Learn menu. And from Learn menu, click on Webinars. Sorry, I missed it. Click on Webinars. You will go to our webinar page listing. Earlier this week, I did a webinar on the connector series for Office Graph, right? So if you come into this page, perhaps after I've done this video, maybe you come into it. Sorry, I'm trying to deal with my little menu dropping down. You come into this like maybe months later or whatever, and you go to that webinar page and you don't see this at the top, then it's going to be at the bottom. So we have our upcoming webinars are at the top, and then progressively they move down to the area of the on-demand webinars, which means these are now videos that you can watch at any time. But earlier this week, I did a webinar on the power of Office Graph with Power Apps, where we talked about basically two things: Office 365 users and how it works, right? We actually went through some of the ways that we can get profile properties. Remember that with Power Apps, I'm just going to show you here. So I'm going to duplicate this screen. Well, actually, let's go back to the webinar listing here. And I'm going to do a search for Office 365 users. And you'll notice that you get the first link that you get from Power Apps is connect to Office 365 users. We went over a lot of this during the webinar. So if you missed the webinar, kind of go back and look at it and check out the way we use this earlier this week. In this particular video, we're going to go a little bit deeper into this document and learn about the profile properties for changing your photo. Okay, if you want to get details on this connector in general, then you go to our connector reference for Office 365 users. You'll see that all our connectors have a reference guide. And in this page, you'll find all the possibilities for what you can do with the Office 365 users. And this page actually has more than the page on the Power Apps community because it includes the relevant people and the user photo. And so you can even get user photo metadata and user profile information. So everything is documented here. So I encourage you that if you like this connector and you want to really maximize it, check out the docs as well. But here today, I'm going to show you the app that I've built, which I think you saw a little bit of it during the webinar. I'm just making an app that you can browse profiles. It starts with your profile, which means that when you open this app from your phone, it will open you to your profile first, showing you your profile image, any details that are available in your profile about you. And on the bottom of the screen, it'll show the people you collaborate with the most in a horizontal gallery. Okay, and this area here is using Office 365 users relevant people, whereas up here you're using profile properties. So if I were to go back to that guide, the top of my app is all focused on user profile. Let's see which, and I should probably use the other page. Let's use the other page. It's a little easier to browse. So the top of my app is all about my profile and the user profile, which gets you all this information: department, display name, given name, ID, job title, mail, telephone number, user principal name, and all that stuff. And I can get that for me, for the person looking at the screen, which is my profile, for anybody that I can pull out their email address or their user principal name, and for the manager of anybody who I can get their email address for or UPN. We also have the ability to search, to get direct reports about anybody that you have their email, and to search users. Now, what this page doesn't have on it is the bottom section of my app. So if you look, the bottom section of my app is more of that relevant people and, office graph functionality down there, looking at who I deal with often and showing their pictures. That one is, you'll see that in the documentation on the Office 365 users under the section of relevant people. And I'll just kind of try and get to that. There's a lot of options here, but get relevant people is what I use for that bottom section. And we did that together in the webinar. So again, go peek at the webinar if you didn't already. What we're going to do today is kind of learn how to update our photo from our profile. Later on this weekend, I'll be posting another video that covers some of the other properties for the profile. But right now, here's our focus for this Friday's function video, which is all about profile photo and how to update it. Okay. Now notice that only the current user can update their photo. Like somebody else can't update the photo of another person. You can only update your own photo, and the size of the photo must be less than 4 megabytes. So that's a decision based on how our capacity planning works on profiles and I guess Active Directory stores and all that stuff that's related to how we store this profile information. Notice that the image content type says like image JPEG. Actually, I'd like you to go ahead and remember that and use that. And so we'll talk about that right now. So we're going to go back to the app. And I just want to demonstrate a couple of features that you may have missed from the webinar. One, at the top here, I have a count of skills, interests, and projects because these are multi-item things. If I just click on the number, it will actually bring up in a gallery the 8 things that I'm interested in, right? If there's more than the screen can hold, like with the 17, it actually has a little scroll bar. And so I'm working on how to improve that because I don't really like the scroll, but I'm still working on this app. You're going to get the perfect app when I get done. But the ability to click on these numbers and kind of get whatever I was thinking is that's in the profile is very kind of cool. And it works also if I click down here on one of the people I work with. So here's my collaborators. If I click on Ankit, now Ankit didn't add any projects or skills or interests in his profile, so those numbers say 0, which kind of sets the expectation you're not going to get anything if you click on those numbers because there's nothing, right? And then he didn't also add any about me to his profile. So I'm hoping that apps like this would also encourage people to put more information in their profile. It's very busy. I understand why, but it would be great if we had more information about people about them, and then we could learn more about the people we work with. And we could also do searches across these different interests and find people who have the skills that we need or the interests that we're most interested in. Think about that. I'm going to click on John, for instance. Everybody knows John. All right, now John has filled out his profile completely. He has an about me. He also has some skills and some interests that he's sharing with everyone. And these are things that we can also search and find people who are interested in photography like we are, right? So this app just helps you to browse that. Now you notice that when I'm looking at John, though, I don't see the edit button and I don't see the dock button. I'll explain why. But you do see a LinkedIn button. So I can click on the LinkedIn button, and what we'll do is launch LinkedIn in the browser and do a search for a person with the name of John Levesque. And normally, it will probably put the person that you know at the top, and you can click on that person and connect to that person on LinkedIn. So isn't that a great idea? Ways to connect to the people around us, different ways to connect to people around us. All right, so I'm going to go back to the app, and I'm going to return to my profile. I'd like you to notice the difference up here underneath these counts. I'm going to click on this little reset button, which will put it back to being me. And you'll notice that I don't have the LinkedIn. And basically, it's because I don't need it, right? Why would I need a LinkedIn for myself? I'm already connected to me. But I have an edit profile button, and I have a open my files button. This one brings me to my site. And this one is what we're going to talk about today, but specifically around updating your photo. Okay, so let's open this app in edit mode. First, I'll click on the edit button. so you can kind of see what happens. You go to a page where you can update your picture. If your organization allows you to update your personal information, you can do that here. If you update the About Me, you'll have if I just put a period here and come out of that field, you'll see that I have a save button for that. The save button only appears if I make changes. So, kind of prevents me from making a mistake and overriding something by accident. And then I have ways to add projects, skills, interests, and schools. Now, what's unique about these is that all of these other things, they're single items. It's one question, one answer. In these, you can have multiple projects, multiple skills, multiple interests, and multiple schools. Okay, so that's how my app works. Let's look at it inside and learn how we update the photo. Okay, so I'm going to close the app tab and close LinkedIn. And then I'm going to go into the app in edit mode. This way you can see in the back end what I've done here. And we're going to kind of focus on the picture here. Now, this is a lot easier than you might think this is going to be. And I think I've talked about this when we talked about one of the templates before. So this might be a repeat for some of you. But, I've always felt repetition for emphasis. And who knows who didn't hear that the first time. So I'm going to show you how you update your photo. You will learn the new function in Office 365 users for updating your profile photo, which is the goal of this video. And it's a really easy function too. So my circle of hope is spinning, and soon my app will be open and we can dig in. I see the canvas. That's always a good sign. And now my app is coming up. Now, there will be some latency the first time this app loads. And you'll see the dots going across the top of the screen looking for the data. So it may take a few seconds for all of that screen to load. And we're working to make performance a lot better. Okay, so let's go straight to the edit screen. So I'm just going to run the app and click on the edit button. And then I'm going to go back into editing mode, so we can kind of look at this together. Now, you can see that it says tap or click to replace picture, and then here's the photo. So first, let's talk about what function you need to get someone's photo. All right, so I'm going to click on the image photo, and you want to look in the image property for this function right here. Okay, I'm going to actually cut this out and paste in just this part for now, right? This is all you need to get someone's photo. The Office 365 users plus dot plus user photo, and then the person's email address. And in this case, I chose to use the user email just to pick up the email that's the person on the screen. And the reason I did it that simply is because you can't edit anybody else's photo anyway. So I just used the person looking at the screen. You could also use the UPN here in order to get the user photo. Now, why did I have a more complex function there? Well, there's a story behind that. And I'm going to start by talking about the control next to that, which is the add picture control. And I'm going to go to a new screen and show you. You might not know about this control. If you don't, what I love about this control is seriously, it just works out of the box. This is the add picture control. And if you look to the left, you'll notice that we have given you a link to the documentation about this control that has some examples. So if I click on Learn More, I will go to our documentation on the Add Picture control, where everything you ever wanted to know about Add Picture is there and more. Plus, you have a section that walks you through an example of how to make this work. Really good documentation, and you can find it just by hovering over the control and hovering over Add Picture, and it's right there. That's the case for all these controls, by the way. Very easy way to get help. All right, so I'm going to click on Add Picture. I am on a brand new screen, and you will see that the control comes down in two parts. So right here on the left side of my screen, and I have this really zoom so that you can see, you'll see that I have a control with two parts. The Add Media button, which is basically what you click on to add a picture. It's a button, and it has a text property of what's written there, and it has an on select property of nothing, right? So nothing's happening. This is kind of like an out of the box control that's kind of fun to figure out, but I'm going to go back to the text property, and you can see how easy it is to change that text. Ajouter une photo. Put it in French. How about that? Okay, so now we have what we want the people to read. And then underneath that, grouped with that, is an image control. And the image control has a very interesting image property. By default, what we're looking at, these beautiful mountains with that moon or sun, depending on whether you think day or night, but I see mountains and a moon. That is our sample image. You can't even delete that. It's built into the app. It's there to be there if no image has been selected. And so that is really the control that is being shown here, the image with sample image. Now, however, it's checking to see whether anyone has clicked on it. So let me show you what happens when you click on it. I'm going to run this. I'm going to click on this. It goes to browse, right? Then when I select a picture, now it's showing me a picture. So what it's really saying here, let's go back to that. It says if it's blank, so the button has been pressed and it's picked up a media property. If it has not, in other words, if it's blank, nobody has selected a document, show me the sample image. This is the true statement right here. If the media is blank, which means no one's clicked on this and there's no photo there to show, then show the sample image. Otherwise, show me the media that was given to the button, right? What media was given? Now, if you look at the Add Media button properties, what you have here is you also have image, and I don't think you see it here. So let me show you how you can get what's in here out, so to speak. So I'm going to take you back to my screen and kind of, this is right here, what you see right here is exactly the same add picture control. I changed the button to say tap or click to replace picture. And there is a picture hiding behind that button. So the button just happens to be too big. It's in front of the sample image, and that's why you don't see it. I didn't think it was necessary. So what I did, instead of using that sample image in the back to help them pick their picture, is every time they pick a picture, I go ahead and show them that picture. So if they have not pressed the button at all, right? So it's blank, there's no media in that button. Then it goes and finds the picture that they have in their profile. Otherwise, it shows the uploaded image that they selected with the button. And that's how easy it is. So this way, no matter how many pictures they select, right? So I'm not going to update my photo with this Teams photo, but every time I select a picture, it puts the picture here, and I get the change picture option here. And I can keep changing this picture until I am so happy with the results. And then once I'm happy with the results, I click my little save button. So let me show you what the save button does, and I'm going to try my best not to click on it. So I'm going to click on the save photo in here. That's my little trick for not clicking on things and making the WYSIWYG work. I click using my navigator on the left, and you can see that we're using the profile, we're using the Office 365 users function to update my photo. And again, you can only update your own photo, so it's pretty logical that this function property is update my photo, followed by image.jpeg, and then followed by the name, the image that has been uploaded to the add picture control. And that is how simple it is to change your image. I'm going to actually close, actually I think I can undo, let's see if I can undo this back. Nope, that's as far as I can undo. So I'm going to actually delete this screen. and then go back to my profile page. And I think what I'll do is close without saving. That way I don't change what picture I had in there. And I didn't save in the app anyway, so it wouldn't save my profile photo. I just didn't want Teams to be my profile photo. And that's how easy it is. So what we're going to do next time we meet, which I'm hoping to put down a video this weekend so that you can have the whole app done before the end of the weekend, is I'm going to walk you through how we edit the other profile properties. So what we did just now is go through the update my photo function and talk again, reminders about the add a picture control. But what we'll do later, and then we'll have this series done, is we'll talk about how I add projects or how I add skills or interests. The difference between these things up here and these 4 categories is there's one question and one answer for all of these, right? What picture? What phone number? Tell me about you. But I can add a bunch of projects. I can have as many projects as I want, right? As many skills as I want. So I need to be able to add more than one item to my profile. So we're going to talk about that later this weekend, but this video is not too long. And you'll get to learn about how we add and increase the numbers and the counts here. And if you want to know more about how we did this relevant people, go look at the webinar and learn more about that. And I'm wishing you the very happiest weekend and look forward to continue building this profile app with me. We'll have it done very soon. Have a great weekend. Looking forward to seeing you at the next Friday Functions video.